What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Corbin Claypool Show. I got Cade and I have Scott with me today. We're going to talk about some stuff. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about today, but it's going to be impactful, powerful, maybe a little bit of real estate, maybe a little bit of these guys' lives, how they got into it. But let's get going, man. Scott, go first. Tell your life story. I'm just kidding.
Dude.
Go ahead.
I don't know where this podcast is going to go because we're laughing too much, but thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. So I just kind of usually start this podcast. This is my third episode, kind of getting in the swing of things. And I started just kind of figuring out like who I'm talking to, where you guys started from, and then we can kind of go from there. So whoever wants to go first, share your story a little bit with the audience about what you do, where you started, how you got into real estate. You guys are both successful investors, especially for your age. So kind of get into that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, again, I'm Scott Farrow. I got into real estate just about 5 years ago. I'm from Fresno originally. As pretty much as long as I can remember, I've lived here. And, I dropped out of college and tried the real estate game as a realtor, kind of evolved into a realtor investor, and started a podcast that you've come on a couple times on and dropped bombs, and that's kind of how I got started.
Cool, man. Okay, what about you?
Yeah, born and raised in Fresno. Graduated from Fresno State back in 2021. Also got started into real estate probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Got introduced while I was still going to school. Finished up school, and since graduating, I've been full-time agent, investor ever since. So that's kind of what we got going on.
Cool, man. Okay, so one question I like to ask, and it's kind of a different question. So here we go. What would you describe yourself like in high school? Like, how were you in high school growing up as a young kid, exploring the world, figuring things out? Kind of go into that. I'm going to pick you first, Scott. What sports did you play? Who were you?
So, as the best water polo player in this room, I played water polo. Just kidding.
Okay, would you agree with that?
We still got to play.
What position did you play?
I was kind of a flex player. By senior year, I played whole second.
That's what you say when you're not. Yeah. You're a flex player, by the way.
That's exactly
you're
right.
A utility player.
No, I was a whole guard.
Okay. What school did you play for?
Memorial.
Okay.
So, I don't know. In high school, I look back with a lot of regrets. I think high school is kind of a place that I was really, I would almost argue, just immature. Like I would want to say insecure, but it was really just being immature. And I look back, I definitely didn't treat people exactly how I wish I had. And
okay, so you were the bully.
I was little.
The bully.
I was the class clown, and I didn't really do it right. I kind of made fun of people and not funny things. Mm-hmm. So I've definitely had to go back and clean up some stuff in the past, but I'd rather have done it when I was, 15 than when I'm 50, right?
Right.
But, I look back, I took school pretty serious. I did a lot of extracurriculars, and I did fine, but I'd probably be described as the class clown, maybe a little bit immature.
Okay. And you played water polo all through high school? Did you play in middle school too, or just?
Yeah, I started in the 4th or 5th grade. Played with
what? Did Memorial start?
No, I was in the junior high program at St. Anthony's, but we played with Fresno High, and then also I started at Sunnyside and played with Coach Oaf, and then moved over to Fresno High, and then went Memorial, and then I was recruited to go play at the Naval Academy, but I didn't end up going because I didn't get accepted to the school.
Really?
Yeah,
Were your grades shit or what?
No, I mean I had decent grades. I did bad on my SAT and ACT because I only took them once. But I was kind of a B+, A- student. Okay. Had a 3.8 or 3.9 going into the end of the senior year. And I was a good player. I played Junior Olympics growing up and then played club teams here and there. But, I went to the Naval Academy for their summer seminar. And that's when I met their polo coach and everything and talked with them about coming over. Mm-hmm. But I guess the way that the military schools work is that they don't pick athletes. You can't get in just because you're an athlete. You have to qualify first.
So coming out of high school, what did you think you were going to do? For work, did you have an idea? Did you have a dream when you were younger that I'm going to be I
wanted to go in the Navy. Okay. So that had been the dream, was to go into the Navy. But then I think like after getting that rejection letter, it kind of shifted what I wanted to do. So I went down the engineering road because that's what my family did.
Really? Okay.
So I did, a little bit of civil engineering. I was good at it, but didn't enjoy it. And that's when I kind of started discerning what I wanted to do.
Dude, I feel like civil engineering is a tough job because you have to go through so much school and the pay is just not what I think it should be, you know? So
I didn't get far enough to really know. I just didn't like it. There's something about the coursework that I just didn't like.
You didn't like the math and all that kind of crap? Or
I was fine with it. Just didn't enjoy it.
Gotcha. Cade, what about you, bro? What were you like in high school, man? Tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah, I did water polo and swim all throughout high school. I'd say if I had to describe myself back in high school, it'd be similar to a little bit how I describe myself now, kind of a fly under the radar kind of a guy. I mean, I took school super serious, work, tests, grades, were a really big focus for me, obviously, alongside, sports with water polo and swim. But really, I mean, the first phrase or kind of the first trait that comes to mind would just kind of be your fly under the radar kind of a guy. I wasn't, out making a big scene for myself or trying to do anything too crazy. Just kind of there, show up, take school seriously, take sports seriously, have a couple friends here and there. But really kind of a fly under the radar kind of guy.
And what position did you play in water polo?
The wing. Yeah.
Okay.
On the right side because I was left-handed, so I'd always be on the right side.
Was Nick Mays your coach?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Mays and Pickford, bro.
Okay, so yeah, you were still because Pickford's gone now, right? It's just Mays.
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah. So I think it's interesting to kind of talk about what people were like back then because it kind of gives you an idea of like how we turn out. It's kind of interesting because I'm very similar in high school. Before I got into a bunch of dumb stuff, I was very shy, very under the radar. Like once you got to know me, I wouldn't shut up. I was super annoying once you got to know me, but I was super shy. Like I wouldn't go talk to people. I wasn't really outgoing, which is funny because in middle school I was super outgoing, would talk to everybody. And then I kind of shifted this thing. So it's very interesting. But yeah,
I think, like what was funny is when you say that I was super quiet and shy in middle school and then I got really loud and obnoxious in high school. I had a classmate this is like a year ago, remind me apparently of a story where I captured a whole bunch of bees in a Spanish class and let them out in a Spanish class.
Holy crap.
I don't remember doing this at all, but she remembers and I trust her memory more than mine. So
that's crazy, man. You probably got in some trouble for that.
No, I didn't. I led the Spanish class. I got an A. Yeah. I don't know how I got through that.
Wow.
But
Cade, what about you, bro? So jumping back over, what did you want to do out of high school?
I had no freaking clue, dude. All I knew was, so both my parents work at Fresno State University, so they've been in teaching their entire career. So really out of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do other than I knew I had to go to school, right? So parents were really encouraging, saying, hey, that was just the next step, right? There was no questions asked. It was, all right, next step, you're going to school, you're going to college, and you're going to get your degree. So even through the first couple of years in college, I mean, I put, business as my major, but, that's what you do when you have no idea what the fuck you want to do, right? And it wasn't until a couple years into college where I started finding real estate a little bit more on social media through a couple books, and that's kind of where the seed was planted around real estate. But right out of high school and even the first couple years of college, no idea what the hell I wanted to do, dude. I just knew that was the standard. That was the thing, right? Go to school and you're going to get your degree in something and you're going to graduate, right? But I really had not put a lot of thought into it. And two, just really probably didn't really care enough at that point. I was like, it's going to work itself out and it'll figure itself out, but had no idea coming out of high school.
So Scott mentioned one thing, and if you don't want to get into it, that's totally okay. But he mentioned that your mom is deaf.
Yeah.
And she's a teacher at Fresno State.
Yeah.
So dude, growing up, I'm curious about this. Growing up, Has she always been deaf, or is that something that happened?
She was born deaf, and my aunt, my mom's sister, who's a couple years older than my mom, was also born deaf too.
Wow. So it's like a genetic thing, basically, or it's hereditary, maybe? Or
no, I don't know fully. I don't think it's hereditary. I don't know what the whole thing is, because both my grandparents are obviously hearing. They're not deaf. My mom and my aunt are the only two instances of being deaf, like in that whole family tree. So I don't think it's hereditary. I don't know the exact, science behind it, but yeah, dude. So she's always been deaf, her entire life. And obviously the entire time, I've been alive too. That's always how it's been.
That's amazing, man. So growing up and seeing that, I'm sure that helps you have a better understanding of the world and the, people around you. How did that Dude, how do you feel like that felt? I guess what I'm trying to say is, how do you feel like that helped you grow? Because I feel like that's something that people don't, typically see. So
yeah, dude, it's interesting, because I even catch myself thinking about it pretty often too, right? I'm like, what if, my entire sense of hearing was just gone, right? And that's all I've known, and that's all I've never experienced hearing, my mom, my dad, my friends, nothing. And it puts it into perspective, dude, because it's like, obviously my mom doesn't know, it's all she's ever known, right? But I think exactly what you said, right? Just putting yourself and exposing yourself to a different perspective and an entirely different culture, dude, because everybody in the deaf community, right, really tight-knit. And, just being able to expose yourself to that culture, those perspectives, I think it's really helped me. Not empathetic might be the right word, or
well, I think that's the exact word.
Yeah,
I think is the right word.
Yeah.
My sister can speak a little bit of sign language. My wife can speak a little bit of sign language, and this is just speculative, but I feel like it's common that people that know sign language are just more empathetic. Do you know sign language? I'm sure. Was it like a
first
second language?
Yeah, no.
Okay, it's your first language.
All my siblings and I. Yeah, it was. We all started signing before we spoke any English. So
that's our kids too. We're not obviously to that extent, but my wife taught our kids sign language before,
which is awesome.
Yeah. So they do little stuff like please and thank you.
Yeah.
And that, so very interesting, man. That's powerful.
And I think too. Going on that a little bit more, helping my perspective too, because it's like, dude, my mom, obviously there's a lot of stigma around deaf people, right? Just like, I'm sure I know there's stigmas around other groups of people, this, that, and the other. But kind of like myths, right? Like a big one is like deaf and dumb, dude. Like if you're deaf, you're stupid, not smart. Like how in the world are you going to be smart if you can't hear anything, dude? Right. But,
I almost feel like it'd make you smarter, because you have to overcome obstacles in your life that normal people don't have to, not normal, but people don't have to overcome.
Well, now I have a better sense of perspective. And dude, just it is so inspiring and encouraging, because obviously my mom, and now I'm sure with people who are growing up deaf now, it's a lot different than how when my mom was growing up, right? But my mom being able to, dude, she graduated, got her bachelor's degree, went further, got her master's degree, dude, and graduated, and has now been teaching, lives life the way everyone else does, dude. And with, what a lot of people would call a handicap, right? With not being able to.
And she probably doesn't even look at it that way at all.
No,
I'm sure, because
no,
it's just
I don't look at it that way. Right. But just super inspiring, dude. Cause if she can go and do all that without hearing and without your sense of hearing, dude, to go and go through all that and accomplish what she has, when, I would think that was probably hard as shit, dude. Like I would have no fucking clue how she went and did that. It's inspiring for me, dude. I'm like, fuck, I gotta pick my game up. I got big shoes to fill, dude. But that's kind of the little bit of the backstory.
So what classes does she teach at Fresno State right now?
She teaches fully. She's kind of switched back and forth, but she's always been under the ASL, American Sign Language bracket. So right now she's teaching all ASL classes.
Awesome.
students in all 4 years of state.
Awesome. So this leads me to my next question. How did your dad and her meet? Have they told you that story?
Yeah, so they met.
And did he know sign language before this? He have to learn.
He wasn't fluent. He knew a little bit. They had met in college. My dad bounced around a couple different colleges. My mom did too, and they met down in Chico and met there. They met at Northridge and then moved together and moved schools over to Chico.
Are they still together?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Still together, still married. So, my dad didn't know sign language obviously fluently when they met. He knew a little bit, but obviously when they met, my dad he became certified as an interpreter. He was a certified interpreter for a crap ton of years, also taught various, classes under the ASL branch at Fresno State before he kind of moved his way into administration. But
dude, that's awesome.
Kind of funny. When when Cade and I started partnering on some stuff, one of my cousins saw the last name Barrett and was like, "Hey, weird question, is Cade's mom deaf?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I think."
You didn't.
And he goes, "Dude, Cade, I know Cade. I've known him since he was little. I went through the Fresno State ASL program, and they were like my professors." He's like, "I love Mr. Barrett," or Professor Barrett. And so to this day, like just at the last fight night, Cade's dad came to the fight night.
Yeah.
Because my cousins are in ASL, and one of them's a professor now, and like Cade's parents have a huge impact in the Fresno area.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I think that's really good to dive into and learn, because that's something that people don't deal with every day, and I feel like a life experience that is going to benefit you hugely, in the future. So, Scott, what about you, man? How did you guys, first off, getting into real estate and moving into real estate, like what drove you to do that? Was it just something like, okay, I'm just going to do real estate because I don't know why, but this sounds like a good career. And a lot of people get into real estate or mortgages that way, especially in the mortgage industry. It's always like some third cousin that tells you to get into mortgages and you get in and you're like, what the hell did I just get into? But for real estate, how did you get into it? I think I met you, actually I did meet you guys when you guys were with Jason and Benny. Mm-hmm. And Benny and I are still really good friends to this day. So is that the first place that you guys started? And how long had you been there, or had you been there?
I always say like people get into real estate out of desperation or inspiration, and I think mine was more desperation. I dropped out of school just because I had already switched, majors a few times, and I said, you know what, like let's like recoup, getting a new idea. So Benny was a regular at Cup of Joy. I've told you this story before. And essentially, like, I just followed him because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And Benny was a realtor at the time. He had this really cool listing over by Fort Washington Golf Course. He said, like, hey, I'm doing a broker's open. It's where all these people will come by. And, like, we're just showing them the house kind of a thing, like, just kind of being hospitable. And I was like, well, I have restaurant experience and I have graphic design experience. So I know how to talk to people and I know how to make some marketing flyers. So I helped him with it and kind of stumbled my way into that. Benny is an extremely, extremely friendly guy and super encouraging. And so Benny was just like, hey, like, I think you've got a lot of skills that could be really good here. I really think you would do well. Like, why don't you come work with me for a little bit? You can help me through these methods, and then I'll help you by helping you get your license, and like you can make a little side money. I'm super money motivated, and at the time I'm living out of the house, paying my own bills, working minimum wage. So I'm like, any way to make extra cash was great. So kind of went that route, and then once I got my license, it was just kind of history. At that point, it was like a game,
So did you and Cade know each other before this?
No.
Okay, so Cade, tell your story then. We can kind of combine them. So how did you get in with Benny and Jason's team, and how did you start?
Yeah, long story short, I met, I was doing a networking event or a speaking gig for Fresno State, and I had given this little speaking gig, and I had met Benny's mom at that event, and she had came up, introduced herself, and gave me Benny's card because she was like, hey, what are you kind of interested in? And this was kind of around the time that I'd start getting a little bit exposed to real estate, just, through social media and a couple books I'd read and stuff. And she had given me Benny's card, and she was like, hey, my son's team, he's got a team, a real estate team. They're actually looking for a real estate assistant. Like it, might be a good fit. I'll let him know, I met you too, but here's his card, shoot him a call. Long story short, like 20 or 30 phone calls later and 2 months later, like I finally start day one as the assistant with under the Clayson group. Benny and Jason were the team leaders. Scott and another agent, Ashley, were licensed agents on the team. So it was the four of them, and I was the fifth one tagging along as starting off as the office assistant.
Okay, I think I remember that. So when I came in for that office meeting, do you guys remember that?
Cade had literally just gotten hired.
Yeah.
Okay, you had just gotten hired then.
Cade had gotten hired that month because that was at the old Iron Key building in the second story, right?
In the little conference room?
I'm trying to think. No, it was in the conference room. But at the new Iron Key.
Then Cade had been with us for a
yeah. Then that... Oh, at the new one. Yeah. At the newer one. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. There's some other people there too. I forget the name of the other people, but it was like you, Ashley, Cade, Benny, Jason, and maybe one more.
Me and Joe.
Yeah, you guys had a big team at that time.
And Bailey.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool to see that everybody pretty much from there has gone out and been successful. Like that was a great team environment where people learned and grew. Because almost everybody that I see Bailey killing it. You guys are killing it. I haven't seen Manju. I don't know what he's doing.
He switched out of real estate more back into the trucking stuff, so it's a little different.
Okay, but I'm sure he got a lot of good experience and learned a ton 100%. From them. So
yeah.
And Ashley's killing it now. She moved to Kansas
City.
Kansas City.
Yeah, and she's doing really well. I think of all of us, she's kind of grown the most into different roles and trying. She's done coaching and mentoring now, and
good,
still selling a lot of real estate and still.
That's awesome.
She's crushing.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So you guys, you met each other there, and then you guys formed a partnership. Kind of bring that into effect. How did that happen? How did you guys form that partnership, and what made you guys decide hey, let's make this happen? Let's grow together.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong and add anything I missed, but so obviously Scott's licensed. I start out part-time, maybe 10 or 12 hours a week, dude, just, office assistant, grunt work BS. Excuse me. And, obviously I'm going through school. Scott's continuing to grow his agent business, and also we're starting to do more investing with influence from Jason and kind of learning that. And I graduate school, and obviously Scott and I, just in relation to being on the team, we were the two closest guys in age, right? I mean, right when I joined, it was Benny, Jason, Ashley, Scott, and now me, right? So, I mean, we're a year apart, just by being in the same environment, right? You've got to start talking to people, right? So they're either going to become your friend or not. And we started to become really, really good friends. And I graduate school. I already knew I was going to, hit the ground running full time. And it was already apparent to me that Scott had a really special skill set. And once we found out, we've read a book called Rocket Fuel. I don't know if you've read it.
Oh yeah, Traction,
before,
Rocket Fuel.
But the word I now attribute to, being a visionary and having visionary qualities, right? And
Scott's
it doesn't mean it's the looks.
He's like, that is me.
I was just sitting up. I realized how much I was slouching.
I saw y'all. He's like,
yeah.
Tell more good things about me, Cade. I'm just talking shit.
Yeah. And when I had finished school, obviously, I had outgrown the office assistant role, got licensed, started learning investing too. But I kind of quickly recognized, my skill set and my strengths, if we're referencing the book again, I fall into that category of being more of an integrator, right? Like systems, operations, moving the puzzle pieces, how things work, how we get something done, right? And in the book, those two things, a visionary and an integrator, are complementary, right? One is not going to have as much success on their own than with the other. So, it may have been a gradual process, dude, but to clarify, we do have completely separate agent businesses. We have completely separate investment businesses where we flip, wholesale, this sort of stuff. But where our partnership falls into place is we do own some units out in South Bend. And how that came about, the only thing I remember, dude, is we used to get into the office really early, stay like we're grinding. We're two young guys. We're getting out of the office. It's already dark outside, 6:30, 7 at night, dude. Like long ass day. And we walk out and we're like, dude, what are we doing? We're absorbing a lot of this information, investment wise, like from Jason, dude, and from Benny too. Jason owns all these rentals. Like, what the fuck are we doing? We got to go buy some rentals. How are we going to do it? Right. And we spend, 10, 15 minutes and, talking outside in the parking lot. And we're like, fuck it. We're coming in tomorrow, 6:30 in the morning. And we're just going to go and do it. We're going to buy some fucking rentals. And from that point, we come in at 6:30 in the morning the next day in the office. And we do that for...
It was like 4 months or 5 months.
Just looking for properties and things of that nature?
Well, we just started like the process of discerning what market we wanted to be in. What were the metrics? What did we have to know before we did anything? And like literally like once we identified South Bend, it was just coming in every day and analyzing deals.
And for the viewers, because I think this will be helpful, how did you identify South Bend and what other areas did you look at?
We looked at, based off of the census, we were looking at places that had growing populations, growing economic industries. Like we were looking at breadth of industries. Like we didn't want just like one manufacturing setup where it was the whole city was just manufacturing. Right. We wanted a couple different industries, things like that. Politics of the state played a really big part. What were the best states based on local politics? Because as landlords, like some states are great and some are not. And then frankly, like our decision came down to who we knew that was doing it. And that was like Jason and a couple other people. And he had a property manager that we already knew. And that kind of solidified like, okay, our risk is a lot lower. We have somebody who's done it, so we can kind of reference what their numbers look like. We have a property manager in place. We know what, like, at least that we can reach them. And that was it. So then once we picked South Bend, it was like, okay, we know the market, now find a deal. And we already knew how to find deals. It was analyze until you knew what a good deal looked like and then make offers. And
when you're analyzing those deals, are you doing it off the MLS? Are you guys looking for off-market stuff? And how were you guys getting that off-market stuff in another state?
No, we were all on Zillow, and we were just literally analyzing properties on Zillow.
Which is amazing because in Fresno, you can't go on Zillow. You have to find an off-market deal for it to make sense, for it to cash flow. Yeah. I mean, you technically could if you have the cash. You can go buy something cash. It's going to appreciate. You're going to be able to rent it out, or you can put a massive down payment. But with Indiana, I'm sure you could put like the 20% down or even less, and you're probably cash flowing over there. This
world is weird because like the big fish from the Bay Area make us look broke. But we have people in South Bend who must think that we're gazillionaires because at 21, we bought 9 properties in 2 weeks. But it was only $250,000. We borrowed it from a private money lender at 10%, and they still cash flowed. And then we went and refinanced them. Like our average mortgage in South Bend is like, it's like 250,000. Does that sound right?
Average,
250 a month.
Yeah, I think our highest mortgage is $350,
and our rents are $1,150 to $800.
Yeah, like $800 to
and so
wow, bro. Like, so how much in net income, if you don't mind me asking, are you making on those properties combined?
So I think this is a good podcast to be honest about everything.
Yeah,
we bought some bad properties that really hurt our cash flow and really hurt our investing strategy. We've really started to like. We're finally getting to the point where we're out. I think they're throwing off about $4,000 a month. That
net income.
Hell yes. Yeah, before you account.
Bro, that's really good. That's not the properties that you messed up on, though, right?
No, we've sold those off since then, and we've had some real serious problems. I mean, like, I don't want to shit talk people, but like, we had people that we thought we could trust that didn't do what we needed them to do. Like, for example, we just found out we owe $6,000 to the city that we were told explicitly in writing was not the case. And the city's like, nah, they're just wrong. Like, you owe this money.
And these are things that pop up, man. You know, these are things that happen.
Well, and dude, when we say like the cliche saying it's owning rental properties is not all sunshine and rainbows. I remember the day this happened because I had already gone home for the day. Scott was still in the office. And we get
heart rate's going up.
We get this email, dude, that we owe $20,000.
It's 25, I think.
25. Yeah, it was $25,000 on a remodel that we thought was going to be less than half of that. So,
and it was due on receipt.
$25,000. I don't know who called who first. It was immediate after we got the email, and we're like, bro, what the fuck? We are at that point 21 and 22, maybe a 21 and 22-year-old guy. We get an invoice for $25,000, and we're like, all right. I'm like, dude, I'm coming back to the office. We need to sit down and figure out how the fuck we're gonna come up with this money, dude.
So how did you guys end up coming up with the money?
It was a mix of things. One, the property manager was willing to take payments. They said, look, like, we trust that you guys are good for your money. We like, this is definitely a surprise to you guys. Like, we're going to work with you on it. And then two, like, thank God we saved. Like, we had some money.
Had a little bit of reserves.
It sucks, right? Like, getting rid of those reserves is painful.
It hurts.
Yeah. And so, I guess that's one thing that we could talk about that's kind of interesting is, I mean, most marriages get destroyed from money, right? Mm-hmm. We don't have any kind of situation where, like these rentals, where one of us picks up the tab and the other doesn't, and so we have to come to a lot of agreements on things. And it's like, I'm married now with a house and dogs and a totally different life circumstance, even though we're 1 year apart from where Cade's at. And I think we've had a very interesting time maintaining like a really genuine friendship. And also we've had more than one scenario where we get hit with invoices that we couldn't pay. And like, that shock is definitely hard. And like, not blowing up at the other person or starting pointing fingers or saying like, you're a retard. Like, we literally have had moments where like, we are like at blows with ourselves about how we handled it. But like, we've managed to stay like good friends.
You know what though, too? That's awesome that you guys stayed good friends, because I know money things can cause issues. But I wanted to say, you guys haven't over leveraged yourself at all, so that's not what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is, you can either go buy a bunch of cars, you can do a bunch of credit cards, you can do, basically finance your life away and be struggling making those payments. Or you can buy properties, you can buy investments and have hiccups that come up, and you're struggling at times making those payments. But at the end of the day, the long-term benefit of owning properties, you win. Whereas people that just blow their money on cars and other things, they lose. Right? So those struggles, one, you guys are so damn young that, I mean, you guys could have a million mess ups between now and freaking 40 and you guys would still be good.
We're working hard at hitting the million number. That we're on track.
No, I mean, the fact that you guys are there is like next level, I mean, I can't even dream of me being that age. Like, I wasn't even in the right mindset at that age to do anything. All I was thinking about is partying and chicks. Like, that's literally all I thought about when I was your guys' age. So kudos to you guys for being able to take it, control of your life and push forward and actually make something happen, because you guys are a rare breed in your age category, so, but yeah, kind of get back into the investment side on South Bend and all that kind of stuff. Do you guys have more, like, you guys want to buy more properties out there now? Are you guys looking at other areas? Or Cade's shaking his head. He's saying no. You guys don't want any more properties?
I don't want to.
No, it's taken so long to stable these ones out there, and we still have, like Scott said, this hiccup we had with, being told one thing and then now owing $6,000 to the city, which we still haven't paid yet.
Yeah, we're still in the city of South Bend. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys aren't
trying
too much
hard
because you're making that $4,000 a month net.
And we're trying to sell that bill in question is tied to a property that we have actively been biting tooth and nail to try and sell, and it's the last one kind of from that bad batch. So once that's finally off, that's kind of the last little piece for the batch out there until it's fully stabilized, and it's been 2.5 years almost.
September will be 3 years.
So, and I think the plan there, obviously the plan would be to each of us respectively to buy some more, buy more rental properties, but what that looks like, where that looks like, is to be determined, at least on my end.
So you guys have seen my post. I want to buy 6 properties and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, right when I'm closing on that seller finance deal, this week, the seller backs out.
Why?
I think he just, I don't know why. We didn't get an exact answer, but I didn't want to be making payments to somebody. Is my wife coming over here?
No.
Oh, I didn't want to be making payments to somebody that was pissed that we closed on the house.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to close. But I think it had to do with money. And they said something with the taxes because they had it as an investment property. And they're like, well, we're just going to turn it into a primary for 2 years and then sell it so we don't have to pay capital gains on it. Long story short, with how the economy is and all this kind of stuff, it made me kind of rethink things. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to push for that. I think I'm just going to
now she's coming over here.
Yeah. Sorry, say goodbye. Going to save up all the money, cash, and then wait for the right opportunity. Yeah, Cade, I think that's interesting, man. I like figuring out like people's story because especially people that have like interesting stories that are things that really shape how somebody's personality is and how they are. And I think that's why in a lot of ways you're very like humble and just because you're empathetic. And I don't know, man, I think that just, it makes a big difference. You know what I mean? Like growing up and
dude, and it's all I ever knew too. Right. So it's like, I didn't see it as anything, but you didn't see a lot of people know, right? Because it's like, especially because it was my first language. I mean, that's my childhood is like, I compare it to somebody else's. It's the exact same, dude. That's why I think when people like make it a big grandstand and it, it is kind of hard to comprehend, like not being able to see, like, I would think is this huge big thing, right? But dude,
it doesn't stop anybody.
People go out and do a ton of shit, dude. Like it's another limiting belief, right, dude? I mean, we talk about it all the time in business and real estate and lending, right? Not having those limiting beliefs, all that shit's just limiting beliefs, bro. Because you can go out and do fucking whatever you want, bro. Whatever you want.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What do you think your mom's reaction would be if she could hear your voice?
Crying.
Yeah. I'd cry, bro. Yeah. I don't know, dude. Yeah.
You've never...
Yeah, she will one day, bro.
You've never met Cade's mom too, but she's like so nice. Like one of the nicest people ever too. So yeah, she would definitely cry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For days, probably.
Probably. Yeah.
Days.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, could you imagine if the light switch was just turned like right now, bro? Dude, you could probably go the rest of your life still fucking tripping out, dude. That's what I would think, dude. Like,
well, and she's like, what, almost 50? So you go,
yeah. I mean,
you go decades without knowing, and then
well, I think
all of a sudden
technology's gonna get there too.
Well, that's I think what Jake's argument is.
Yeah. Well, and it's like
same thing with
people who've been blind, right? And then, fuck, bro, Mr. Beast just cured like what, 1,000 people's blindness, bro?
That was crazy.
Wait, what?
It was like 100.
What did he do?
Yeah.
It was 1,000.
It was 1,000,
people.
bro.
Mr. Beast went out and paid for the surgery for 1,000 people around the world to cure their blindness, right? But the surgery that's needed
for astigmatism,
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Idea
I don't know exactly what they were doing, but yeah,
technology is getting advanced, and as AI progresses too,
Mr. ChatGPT,
dude,
bro.
Wait until AI starts coming up with solutions. I'm serious. Wait until AI starts coming up with like.
Where do you see that going, bro?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not like an AI specialist or anything. I am, but
just your opinion.
I just think that, dude. I think it's going to be a completely different world in 20 to 30 years from now. I hope. I mean, better buy real estate, better own property, because I just think that a lot of jobs are going to, unfortunately, it's sad, dude. It's not like I think this is a good thing, by the way. I don't think it's a good thing that people's jobs are going to get destroyed, but it's going to, destroy a lot of jobs, right? Because employers are going to be able to hire people. I know, like in the loan industry, for instance, like let's say 20, 30 years, hopefully, dear God, I'm not doing mortgages at that time, but let's say that AI has advanced. I'm sure people won't be using operations staff anymore, right? You're going to have an AI that's just going to be able to instantly process the pre-approval and tell the client exactly what they qualify for. And it's going to be somebody like me on the other end that just goes over it with the client. That's all it's going to be. Have that human connection, but the AI is going to be way cheaper. It's going to be able to do things exact, and it's going to have 1,000 times the output. So, I mean, probably even more than that, right? You submit 20 applications, and it can work on all 20 at one time. That's where things are going, I think. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. I had Balin on, and he's been, researching ChatGPT a lot, and he used it to grow his business and did some things with his website. Yeah, that podcast is coming out soon, but it's really interesting. So what do you guys think is going to happen to AI or with AI?
I don't know. I mean, the problem that I see with AI is more that it could be misused by malicious people. I think like the people coming out with scams where they can make your voice I thought about this because it said if you have like a lot of good quality audio recording online, I'm gonna call my grandma today and talk to her because somebody could easily take my voice, call my grandma, and it would sound just like me. I mean, I've got thousands of hours of recordings up online at this point. Like, I've said every word that you would need to steal money from my grandma.
That's what I was going to say, dude. Because Jake, I don't know if I've sent them to you on TikTok, but I've come across videos on TikTok. I don't know if either of you guys have seen them either. Of all the presidents, bro, they've got Trump's voice, Biden's voice, and Barack's voice, just talking shit to each other in the gameplay, and it sounds exactly like, bro. Yeah,
I would say like that's my bigger concern. Yeah, I'm not as concerned about the amount of automation that's going to take over the workforce. Because frankly, like you think about how many people were doing farming before how many people were in hunting and gathering before we developed the modern agricultural world. People found other things to do. And like, frankly, the people who make a lot of money right now are middlemen, right? Like,
dude, and my thing is too, people like us, not to tune our own horns, but people like us who have like the skill set and have built up these, all these jobs, like you said, nobody's saying it's a good thing people are going to be losing their jobs, right? But a lot of the first jobs that are going to be lost are going to be lower level jobs, right?
And so, I just want to put one thing out there too. Anybody can develop the skills needed to sell, to do anything like that. Sales is the #1 paid industry in the world. And if you want to make money, learn to sell. That's all I'm going to say. Good.
Yeah. And you said it better than I could. Cause it's like when you have, it's like Scott said, I think that's not a big worry in my mind either. Cause it's like, dude, I know I'm always going to be able to provide value in some way. What, who knows what we're doing in 20, 30 years, right? Hopefully not selling real estate or doing mortgages, right? But Scott made a good point, like something scary, like somebody, and it's the same, it's going to be the same for you, right? Splicing together all these things, somebody calling up your grandma, pretending to be Scott or pretending to be Cade, and being able to, that on all the lower levels, I think is pretty scary.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. And also the flip side of that, you being able to record your voice, and it's going to be able to have a real conversation with a client that calls in. So it's like Scott's going to call me. It's going to be an AI robot, and Scott's going to think he's talking to me the whole time. I'm going to be in Cabo or something doing that thing. No. But in all seriousness, that's happening where people are going to be able to call in. You're going to be able to take 15, 20, 30 calls at one time and have full conversations once AI gets that advanced. And it's hard to wrap our head around that, but AI is going to learn. They necessarily won't feel emotions, right? Maybe they will one day, who knows? But they won't feel emotions, but they'll know how to replicate it. They'll know how to make the fluctuations in their voice. They'll know how to react when you say something that makes them laugh, and they'll laugh, So, yeah.
Not to go too far down the rabbit hole too, but dude, I mean, you think the Industrial Revolution, bro, like just compare that time period to fucking now, dude. Like in all the like when you say, and obviously 20, 30 years, that's a lot smaller difference than the Industrial Revolution to now. But the amount of I don't think my mind's completely open, dude, because I don't think anything's out of the question just because of how much advancement has happened.
Think about like your parents growing up, bro, like to now. Like we have self-driving cars that are like affordable.
And they would never believe that.
No.
If you told them, they'd be like, no way. No way.
You know.
And they're good too. Tesla self-driving is pretty good.
Well, and the good news is that humans are way smarter than we think. And so just like anything else, when you solve the problem, you don't get rid of problems, you just elevate the problem. So then now you free up millions and millions of people who are working, trash jobs or trash things, free them to do now bigger things and better things and more important issues that come up.
I think what freaks out a lot of the conspiracy theorists, and we're going to get into some conspiracy right now, right? But it's like AI taking over and then basically everybody getting like a universal income because it's like AI's doing everything at this point. You just go live in these homes. You don't have to pay for anything. We'll pay for your food. You'll get a check. And
so
like
humans
basically
need a sense of purpose. So that's, I think, what the fear would be. And I think that you don't need to have a job to have a sense of purpose. So I don't know if that's like something to really worry about. I'm definitely not pro universal base income. I'm not pro like automation, just like creating a communist state. I'm just saying that like I also don't think that flipping burgers or whatever is giving somebody as much purpose as we would all feel it is.
Right.
Like our jobs are very fulfilling because we're helping people with like huge things, right? I think that's why we all like our job. But if we can replace the crappy jobs that nobody really wants to do, I actually think that's kind of a good thing. And even if it means that other people are gonna have to find new ways to find purpose, I think they still could.
So to kind of jump into that, where do you think people will be able to find new jobs if AI takes over like every job, like an admin job or a burger job, for instance, right? There's thousands, millions of those jobs. And there's few people that are doing sales and real estate. I mean, maybe not a few. There's a lot of people doing it, but in the scheme of things, it's smaller compared to the larger population. So where would they find those jobs?
I mean, new industries.
You think new industries would arise and stuff? Okay.
Yeah,
like
I mean, think about tech, man. Like tech is a huge provider now, but I mean, 100 years ago, like they were going to say, well, where are we going to go when all the car manufacturing goes away? What are people going to do? Think about that, right? Like car manufacturing was all done by hand, I presume, and now it's almost all fully automated with like engineers. It's a fraction.
I guess my argument is there's always going to be like certain people that don't want to better their lives. They don't want to grow and succeed and succeed. It's like, where are they going to get these jobs if they don't have anything, right? So
that's Darwinism in the modern world.
And that's when you pose the question. I think it's more of a like sociological question. Like those people are, you can't force those people to do anything, right? Like
they're going to go to the next lowest level job.
Yeah, whatever.
If there is any available.
Which is real estate.
Right now it is. Especially if you're a loan officer. God, don't get in mortgages. Right now. No.
But no, I think the evolution of technology will be interesting. I think it will be generally for the better. There has to be restrictions and like it has to be in the right hands. And I would say that more so keeping technology in the hands of the people is more important, and then dispersing it from like the elites, because there's like a group, I think, of elites that control such a huge portion. And I mean, I'm a massive capitalist, but I also think that like the whole thing with ChatGPT already like answering questions certain ways, it is a sign that once the measures of information get taken control of by just a small group of people, everything can change, Right. If ChatGPT represents the personal beliefs of a few and not the broad understanding of like the global knowledge, then
that's a really good point. So you'd almost hope that the AI can develop its own way,
No, the best way for AI to help the world is to be open source and let the entire world add to it and be a part of it. That's the only way that you can actually make sure that
This is starting to sound a lot like globalism, bro. One world government coming into play, ran by AI.
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
Who knows? There's also like a whole thought process that like the only way to get world peace is through getting everybody out of poverty, because poverty is one of like the things that like keeps
No, that's
people.
very true. People
and
are
so
desperate.
AI could
Yeah.
definitely help there. You know, there's worlds like if Americans don't have enough jobs here, well, there's enough money in our country to help fly out and help other places, and maybe that becomes the new thing is like going out. I don't know. Just
No, it's good stuff. Yeah, it's good.
off the top of my head, that's what I think could happen.
Yeah, it's good to think about. It's probably going to be so much different than any of us even think in 20, 30 years with AI. You know,
I hope.
but we'll see. We'll see. Well, do you guys have anything else that you guys want to add to the audience, or leave them with something impactful that's helped you in your business?
You're looking to the wrong guys for impactful statements, dude.
No, I think you guys are impactful. You guys are impactful. All right, name one thing in the last year that this real estate market has taught you in 2022 and going into 2023 versus the craziness of 2021 that everybody thought was going to last forever, right?
You can't worship two gods. And I think last year I spent a lot of time on my business, not enough on my faith. And I'm grateful that at least this market's allowed me to kind of change that.
That's good, dude. That's a clip right there. Go ahead.
That is a clip,
Yeah.
dude. I can't top that one. But, dude, what it has taught me, and I'm gonna try and pull it up because I want to use the exact term, and it's something I've come to learn as like aggressive patience. And it was in a podcast episode with Andy Frisella's podcast, and essentially aggressive patience being knowing you have to show up each and every day in and day out. It could take days, it could take months, it could take years to get your goal, but you've got to go in each and every day, every single week, every single month, each year that goes by. You've got to have your head screwed on tight. You've got to have that northern sail towards that goal. You can't just sit back and say, okay, I'm going to be patient, but I know things will come around, when they do, they'll come by in their own time. So in the meantime, I'm just going to kind of hang out, take my time, kind of be lazy because I know things will come around in their own time. But having that aggressive patience, knowing your goal could take months or years to achieve, but still having that aggressive daily, patience to go in and day out to reach that goal, I think is big, because obviously we all know we don't see success in this industry overnight, right? So knowing the activities now that we do and the relationships we make come back and the fruits of that labor show up in 3, 6, 9 months down the road, regardless, we're still showing up day in and day out and doing the hard fucking work. And we're not sitting back saying, all right, in 9 months I'll be in a better spot. No, we're still coming day in and day out doing our thing. So that's what I leave us with.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. I want to end on one thing too, because I think in 2021, it was very easy to make money in real estate, right? And people got used to it. They spent above their means. They bought things they probably shouldn't have. And now, trust me, I see it as an owner of a company. I can see all the LO's production, and it's struggling. People are struggling right now. And so what people have to realize though, is there's massive, massive opportunity right now that people aren't seeing. And yeah, like Cade said, it may not be the massive opportunity that you're going to call hard or prospect or do whatever you can in your business and you're going to reap it in 3 months. It may be a year and a half down the road, but as we start to see people get out of the business, you're growing, you're doing more marketing, you're becoming the better professional, more knowledgeable in your industry, and the best possible version of yourself, you're going to benefit from it greatly in a year and a half, 2 years, or 3 years, whenever that time turns around. And this is how real estate is, man. It's cyclical, and that's what I've learned. There are things that you can control, and there's things that you can't control. And I thought going into this market, I was like, no, my production is going to stay the exact same. I honestly thought that. I was like, my mind is powerful. I can do this. I can law of attraction it into existence. Like, it's going to happen. And the reality is, it's just not the truth. When things come down, the top producers are still going to produce. We're still going to be okay. But it's not going to be where it was before. And we're seeing that nationwide. People that are saying they're doing the same are full of shit because they're not. But you can still do very well right now. But it's just about planting those seeds. So I just want to leave it at that with some encouragement. Guys, thank you for coming on. It was fun. And hopefully we'll do it again. So
Dude,
Yeah.
thank you for having us. This was fun. Please have us back.
All right, cool.